This one's about Voyager 1 and 2. You guys remember Voyager? The Voyager probes that were launched out into deep space in the late 70s? Guess what? They're still functioning. They're older than I am, guys. They're like 45, 46 years old at this point. But they're still out there. And apparently they're still sending back info. And apparently, for whatever reason, the mainstream news wanted to present an article about Voyager 1 and 2. So let's read it. See what they're saying about these antique, at this point, probes. Space probes that are still functioning. This article is titled Voyager 1 and 2 Continue Offering New Mysteries from Interstellar Space. Nearly 46 years is a good run for a spacecraft. A historic record-breaking run. Is retirement near for NASA's interstellar spacecraft Voyager 1 and Voyager 2? Not yet, according to the team working to eke out a few more years with the twin spacecraft, because there is still much to learn. An incorrect command sent to Voyager 2 on July 21st has left the mission science team at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in California unable to get data from the spacecraft. Oh no, so there was an incorrect command. I wonder who fucked that one up. Could you imagine being that guy? You're like the intern, it's your second day on the job. And like the one lazy scientist is like, hey, can you go press that button over there? And the guy's like, which button? He's like, that one over there. And he comes back, he's like, I pressed it. And he's like, what, you pressed that button? That's the incorrect command. Oh no. Voyager 2's fucked. Like, could you imagine, like, if this was real? Notice that the team is from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, which is called JPL, which is the precursor to NASA. A lot of people say JPL is not Jet Propulsion Laboratory. It's actually Jack Parsons Laboratory. Hey, you guys want to look into something interesting? Look into Mr. Jack Parsons. Apparently his laboratory, the one he created, was like the beginnings of NASA. And guess what, guys? He seemed to have been like a really deep occultist. Apparently was good buddies with one Aleister Crowley, interestingly enough. They were just hanging out. Like doing occulty stuff. And now it's like NASA. I don't know. I digress. Let me continue. In the meantime, they're hoping to use the Deep Space Network to send out the correct command and hit the intended target more than 12 billion miles from Earth. I want you to think about that, guys. They're telling you that this probe is 12 billion, not million, billion with a B, miles from Earth. Let's just put that in perspective. They tell you that the sun is 93 million miles from Earth. And now this probe is 12 billion. And that somehow we can still send commands to it. We can still send and receive messages 12 billion miles away. But apparently things have to be pointed in the right direction. Let's continue. Come on, guys. If you believe this, I don't know what to say. Anyway. Otherwise, the data blackout will continue until an automatic software command on October 15th points Voyager back to Earth. Well, that's good. Apparently they have a backup system that when it loses a connection at some particular point, there's an automatic software command. You know, software that was programmed and hardware that was built in the late 1970s. It's still working, apparently. So that's good news. So no worries. Just sit back and relax, guys, because we know that this probe 12 billion miles away, it's going to do an automatic software update. Like your phone, you know, like my iPhone at night. I just wake up sometimes and it just updates itself, you know? And it says, hey, your phone's been updated. Well, apparently the Voyager 2 from 1977 is going to do its own update on October 15th, so not to worry. Boy, good thing. That intern would have been fucked otherwise, man. Let's continue. Quote, October is a long time to wait. Voyager project scientist Linda Spilker at NASA's JPL said. Good news came this week when Voyager 2's carrier signal was detected by using the Deep Space Network, allowing NASA to know that the spacecraft is still functioning. Oh, good. So we lost connection with it, but there's another Deep Space Network. Is that more probes out there? So I guess these other probes were able to check that this one Voyager 2 probe is still out there, kind of doing its thing, floating 12 billion miles from Earth. This is fun. Let's continue. Quote, that told us, okay, Voyager's still there. Voyager 2 is still operating. It's still sending back data. It's doing everything it's supposed to be doing. It's just kind of missing us, right? So when it fucked up, it like tilted. Which begs the question. So not only do we know it's out there, 12 million miles, and we're sending information back and forth from it, but it has the ability to adjust itself, you know? I guess it has like little rocket boosters, like tiny ones, that are able to like synchronize its position in the vastness of space. But whenever I hear stories like that, I always beg the question, how is it able to adjust itself in 3 dimensions when there's no particles to thrust off of? I don't know. But I always ask that about thrust in space, because they tell me it's a vacuum over and over again. And I consistently ask the question. I don't know, because that's the kind of guy I am. I ask questions like, how do you have thrust in a vacuum? How can anything orient itself in a vacuum? So, I don't know, whatever. But apparently we could do it 12 billion miles away. It's kind of missing us, right? It's not pointing at the Earth. So that was really, really a good feeling for everybody in the team to know that, okay, Voyager 2 is still there and everything's good. Apparently, they know that the problem with Voyager 2 is it's pointed about 2 degrees away from Earth. In the case of Voyager 2, at 12 billion miles away, that's a long, long, skinny triangle, right? Because at 2 degrees with something that's 12 billion miles away, yeah. When you like have that little triangle and you calculate it, it's a long way. And it actually says, as it turns out, some people did do the calculation. And the offset is similar to the distance from Earth to Jupiter. Damn, that damn 2 degrees. Like, think about what that sounds. So think about how very accurate that this Voyager 2, 12 billion miles away, needs to be in its orientation to hit Earth. That only a 2 degree variation in its coordinates leaves a Earth to Jupiter distance that it misses us. The offset distance, as they're calling it. If NASA had a deep space network dish on one of Jupiter's moons, Voyager might have a good signal there, but that's not possible. Over the next several weeks, NASA will attempt to send the correct command to Voyager 2 using the 70 Miller DSN station and hope to reach the spacecraft, right? Because they have a deep space network. That would be totally cool if they could just have a dish on one of Jupiter's moons. That would be like awesome, but they don't have that. But they have other things that they could do. Oh, God. It's unlikely it'll get through just because the point of off-pointing is so large, but it might. Spilker explains what kind of data the science community is missing out while Voyager 2 is on a communication break with Earth. Nearly every day, NASA gets back multiple hours of data from both Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. Voyager 2 exited the heliosphere in 2018. The heliosphere is the protective bubble of solar wind considered the boundary of our solar system. I thought that was called the Oort cloud. What do I know, though? So basically, it exited the solar wind that's considered the boundary of our solar. So it exited our solar system in 2018, as if they could know that. Voyager 2 spacecraft still has 5 instruments operating, each using only 4 watts per year. Well, that's good. Now it's been operating for longer than I've been alive, so I guess that low wattage is the reason. Voyager 2 continues to measure the effects of the sun and cosmic rays in space. Ugh. Voyager 2 exited the solar system in 2012. Well, I thought you just said it was 2018. You probably mean Voyager 1 now, anyway. Yeah. They meant to say Voyager 1 exited the solar system in 2012. Wow, that was much quicker. And is further into interstellar space than Voyager 2, heading in a different direction to solar speed. So I guess they put Voyager 1 in one direction and Voyager 2 in another direction when they launched them at the same time. But Voyager 1 is going in a different direction. We're still seeing new phenomena that we don't understand, Spilker said. Among the new phenomena detected by Voyager 1 is something called Pressure Front 2, detected by Voyager 1's magnetometer and plasma wave detector. So apparently Voyager 1 has like other cool things on it that are detecting plasma waves and magneto energy. The plasma density all of a sudden jumped up by 2 or 3 times what it had been previously. A lot of times when these events happen, they happen, and then they die out after a few months, or not even a few weeks. You'll see it go away, Spilker said. In the case of the Pressure Front 2, everything jumped up, and it has stayed pretty steady since then. Wow. We're just watching and wondering what created it and why it's lasting for so long. Voyager 2 has yet to encounter the same thing. It isn't unknown if it will. Launched in 1977. That's when they launched it, guys. With an initial 4-year lifespan. So it was supposed to be 4 years up there. And here it is, 45 years later, still going strong. Hey, they don't make it like they used to, right, guys? I bet those new probes are more, they're not as durable. In the coming years, the Voyager team will turn off instruments one at a time on both spacecraft to preserve power. Because they could still do that 12 billion miles away. The first planned shutdown happens in 2026 for Voyager 2. However, its 4 remaining instruments will continue to operate. Well, there you go, guys. That's your science article for the day. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. Hey, who knew, guys? They were supposed to last 4 years, and they're still going all these years later. 45 years. And just so you know, guys, the reason I'm reading that article to you is because objectively, it's impossible. Everything they said is literally impossible based off all objective demonstrable science. There's no Voyager 1 or Voyager 2 in interstellar space. Because there is no interstellar space. Oh, why, Z? How do you know? Because there's no evidence for it. So you can't say it's real because there's no evidence. That's why.